Hi there, this is Chris over at 3d-palace. How are you doing? Okay, so I've got Unreal Engine open here, and the question I had was, how do I make an undulating thing? Good question. Undulating things. Very cool nowadays. What all the kids are going for. So, how do I make something undulate using materials inside of Unreal Engine? Well, what I'd like to do is I would like to take something like a cylinder here, okay, and basically be able to apply a displacement to it so that it gets lumpy, okay. But one of the problems I've got is if I go from lit to wireframe, you can see there's not that many polygons inside of this, okay, and I really need something that's got a lot more polygons in order to be able to displace it properly, because tessellation inside of Unreal Engine is gone. So what I need to do instead is I need to pre-make a mesh. Now, if you don't use 3D tools yourself, okay, I understand, but Blender's free, and all you need to do really is just create a cylinder, tessellate it, and maybe add some noise. Now, I've done that already. If I go in my content drawer, and I'll just call it like, I don't know, I'm not even going to make a folder for it. I'll just import, and on my desktop, I should have Pillar of Ooh. There we go, 500k, not very big. It's not a skeletal mesh. I can build it as a nanite if I want. I might later, we'll see. I'm not going to yet. So just import. I don't think it's even got a material on it. There we go. So, no smoothing group information was found. Of course there wasn't, I didn't put any on it. Okay, and if I go into my content drawer, there you go, there's our Pillar of Ooh, and you can see it's already lumpy bumpy, which is kind of cool. But what if I want this to undulate, to move, to do stuff? Well, we can make it do that, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a material. Again, very short, to the point, but let's make a material for this. So, I'm going to grab my content drawer. I notice I can't pin this, so I'll dock it in my layout. There we go, much better. And I'm going to change my settings, and my thumbnail size to small. And I don't think I've got a materials folder, so I'll make a quick materials. So new folder, my materials. Now I don't call it my materials to make you feel like a baby. I actually call my folders my materials because I know they're the ones that I've created. Okay, and inside here I'll make a new folder called undulating, because it's going to be undulating. That means blah, 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 okay. And for this, I've already got a quick gradient that I made in Photoshop. So if I just go into my desktop, which you can't see because it's on another screen, and just load this in, there we go. That's just a simple gradient. Okay, you can find them on the internet. So if I have my gradient, just by dragging it into here, hello. What I can do is I can apply my gradient to this once I've made a material. So let's make a material. So just right click, make a material. I'm going to call it matte because it's a good naming standard to start with, matte. And we'll call this undulation. Control S just to save it. Let's open it up. There we go. Let's bring it down here, and I'm going to resize it to my screen so you can see it properly. Wonderful. Okay, now what I can do straight away is I can bring my gradient into here. Hello, there's my gradient. And I can feed my gradient into my world position offset. There we go. And click save. Now, this next part is important, okay? My mesh needs to have an unwrap. Okay, it needs to be unwrapped. Now, if you don't know what unwrapping is, just do a quick Google on it. What happens is in your 3D application of choice, basically what you're doing is you're making kind of a covering for it, almost like origami, and that's what the texture goes on to. So matte undulation is ours, and now if I apply my matte undulation by just dragging it, well, you can't see much of a difference yet, yeah? It doesn't help, obviously, that my material's black, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down 1 and click. That'll give me a basic material expression constant, and I'll put my 0 into here, so that should give me a kind of a white colour. So it's just preparing my shaders. You can't see that. I've got another window over there, so I'll click save. But hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for us to see. Come on, my lovelies, you can do this. Sometimes we have to pause while it's doing its shader rendering, but I'm not going to do any cuts because, you know, you like seeing my beard, all its grey bits and stuff. It's cool. Okay, so that's done, and inside here I'll set the value to 0.5. And click save. There we go. So it's just saving my material, applying its changes to all the stuff in the world that it belongs to, and that's it. Now, if I was making this an instanced material, which I will talk about soon, I promise, then you know, this would be a lot faster once we're working on the instanced material. But unfortunately, because we're not, we have to be at the beck and call of this. Right, so my gradient is working in this. You just can't see it. Oh, why not? Well, because we haven't multiplied this by anything. Okay, so let's do a multiply. So I'll just drag that out. I'll make a multiply node. And then in here, I'm going to hold 1 and click. And just drag that to there. And I'm going to put a value of about 10 on it. And when I put a value of 10 on it, we should start to see a difference in the mesh in the background. Okay, just a little difference, but it'll start to look a little bit different, especially once we connect this to the world position offset. There we go, which I didn't do before because I'm an idiot. Okay, so I'll just sit here and look out the window for a minute or two. Okay, keep an eye on the mesh, keep an eye on the mesh, keep an eye on the mesh. Continue keeping an eye on the mesh while it does this very slow material thing. You can see in the top right hand corner what it's doing. Very slow. There. Okay, so we have our undulation happening now. Fantastic. Now what I could do is I could attach this to a panner. So let's put a panner on this. Okay, and I'm going to connect my panner to my UV. And under time, well, I could set this to just about anything really, couldn't I? So let's set my X across, Y up and down. I'll set that to 0.5. Click save. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. See how that looks. Isn't this exciting? It's nearly done, promise. The compilation that takes time. There we go. Look at that little beauty there, eh? Oh, ho, ho. And there we have it. That is how we do WPO to make this rather lovely offset happen here. And as you can see, it's a real-time offset. Okay, just using the material expression. So it's just going to go up and down like a lovely wave like that, just undulating softly. Now, as you saw before, one of the issues we have here is that it can be a little bit slow. Okay, now if you find our speed here, this is expecting a 2-vector input. Okay, this is our speed scale. So what I could do is I could do a click on 2, drag that into there, and it's the second option, G channel, green, 0.5. Okay, and then right click, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to a parameter. Okay, this will be our undulation speed. So I'm just going to change the name of it to undulation speed. Excellent. Okay, so now if I have my undulation speed here, and I'm going to change this as well, convert to parameter, and I'm going to call this undulation strength. Okay, so now we can undulate, wobble, grrr, like that. Okay. Now, another thing I'm going to do quickly is under my group, I'll put it into 01 undulation. And the reason I put 01 is because if I have 01 there, it'll be right at the top when I do the next bit. Okay, so 01 undulation. And let's just compile this. This will be the last time I compile this material, by the way, so don't worry if you're sick to death of watching it on, you know, compiling. So am I. Okay, we've been here for 9 minutes 50 seconds. Okay, done. So I'm going to make a copy of this. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And I'm going to take my matte undulation and create a material instance. Matte undulation inst 1, 2 and 3. So we've got 3 instances now, okay? And I'll just Control S on each one of them. You can see them wobbling about like mad looking eggs. So in matte undulation 1, I'll drag it to here. And I can go into my undulation speed. I can change this to 0.1, and my undulation strength to 5. If I hit save, it immediately has an effect on it, as you can see, much slower. For matte undulate 2, I'll throw that in and leave it as it is. For matte undulate 3, what I can do is I can go crazy on my undulation, just like Bob Ross would. And I'll change my undulation to 0.7, but I'll also change my first channel to 0.25. And I'll change my undulation strength to 15. Let's get crazy. Yeah, cool. There we go. So you can see now that my undulation on this one is slowly going round whilst it's undulating compared to the other two. Okay, so it's all down to the geometry I've got in this. Obviously each one looks slightly different in how it's been done, but we can see what the undulation's doing now, bringing it to life in a way that it wasn't before. And if I click play, these 3 materials are all working off the same shader, which makes it quite economical too. Okay, that's how you make things undulate. Ew. Thanks for watching. See you next time.